Most founders and executives think when they're hiring a salesperson, they just need to put them in place. They don't realize that it's costing them, at a minimum, depending on what you sell, $30,000 to make a poor hire. Everybody seems to just utilize things that don't work. Interviews, resumes. Hey, I can train this guy as fast as I can. But after my career in special operations, building high-performing teams under immense amounts of pressure in the most difficult of human environments, and now utilizing a sniper-level system to help companies doing as much as $6 billion in revenue per year use this system to sell properly, I figured out exactly how to make sure that you make zero mistakes when hiring salespeople. How do we do this? The essential idea around the psychology is that, one, when somebody gives you a resume, you don't exactly know what's behind that. Okay, they did something, you don't know how they did it. In an interview, people will give you what they want you to hear and what they want you to see. And somebody who's good with people can basically put on a face, tell you what they want to hear, and get the job relatively easily. But I'm not in that business. One thing we did in military special operations was, you've probably seen videos of it, you go through these long selection cycles, basically trying to weed the guys out who shouldn't be there, who can't be trained, and you're left with the ones that you want to train. That's a long, arduous way of doing things, and in the end, it also gave us costly mistakes because it solved for a couple different behavioral traits, but not all of the ones that we needed. So now when I go into companies, whether they're doing $1 million in revenue or $6 billion in revenue, I want to make sure that every single person that they hire is exactly who they know that they need. Taking it from 100 resumes and not knowing to only having to interview 4 or 5 people because you selected them before you ever even spoke to them. I'm going to show you a little bit about what this system looks like. We're essentially gathering behavioral data. It's done in just a couple of minutes, but let's get to the overall idea. How do we understand how to utilize this? These are helping us identify 7 different types of traits. In a unicorn scenario, the role that I've identified, once I understand this, I'm picking the exact type of person. I'm picking their human operating system, how they think, the order in which they think, their personality is a component of it, their level of energy in different situations. Then we find that person, right? So these are their traits. This was created when they were 6 to 12 years old. These don't change, guys. We think that there's all these millions of people out there. There's really 19 different patterns, and I was highly skeptical of this before I started using it. And then the bottom one is the what. This is how somebody perceives themselves to be needed at their current role. But what's important is this. So take a look at this square. Look on the left here. It says 50K to 5K. So think about that as the view, right? Some people think with a 50,000 foot view, they're very strategic, they're very macro, they're very high level. These are your strategists, some of your leaders up here, a lot of consultants, they're thinking big picture. Then you have down here, 5K. These are the people that are in there, they're doing more repetitive tasks, the people that like to get things right and make it perfect every single time. We literally, call them craftsmen, the people that are in their trade, but they are not thinking big picture. What happens with most businesses, and what's probably happened with your business as well, is if you started a business, you probably sit up here in this visionary category. And these visionary leaders eventually typically get stuck down in the weeds. They're stuck doing. And the problem is they think they have to be in the weeds because they haven't found the right people to hold everything together. Okay? So what's important is that when you go out and hire, you're figuring out exactly who you need to be on your team before you ever go out and even do it. All right, we could look at, these are leadership personas, how these people fall into place, but let's go to sales. Okay, you've probably heard some of these terms before. You have the hunter, right? The person that goes out there and gets, the outside salesperson. You got the farmer, kind of account executives, inside salespeople, customer support representatives. Now, here's the thing. You can teach any person to sell, just like I could drive an off-road truck around a track made for Formula One cars, but it's not going to be optimal. I am trying to find the person that absolutely thrives in this environment, They were literally born to thrive in that environment. It is who they are at the core. So for example, if I have a position that is all outside sales, I need this person to be going to all the events. They gain their energy from people. They're highly autonomous. They don't get bogged down within the details. They move at a fast pace. This is their nature. They'll never change from it. I'm going to want to get one of these two people. Okay? If I need somebody who is a real people person that the client is going to love once we put them in on their account and stay with them forever, I also know exactly who I'm going to pick. Here's another thing, mistakes that a lot of sales organizations make. Oh, my best salesperson, now I'm going to put them in a leadership role because it just makes sense. The military did this too. It was you had to promote into leadership roles. But a lot of times this completely fried people. You had guys that were fantastic at their task. They were snipers. They were recon guys. They could have stayed there their entire career. The second you put them in a leadership role, everything broke down. So a lot of times we'll take this person, which is one of the most, highly social, highly wants to be out there, just closing deals all the time, into a leadership role. When really, we should have found a true leader, somebody who thinks like a leader, somebody who is a little bit more analytical. They bring more of that detail factor. They have more method and process, and put them in the leadership role. And if I really wanted to keep that top performing salesperson, I would just figure out a way to pay them more. So what we do is I make sure, one, we figure out exactly who you need. What are you selling? Is it outside? Is it inside? What's the type of personality that this person needs to have? And we find that we come up with those traits first. And then you're going to go find the person. I'm telling you, the more that I have done this system is so ridiculously accurate. You find it out in just a couple of minutes of them answering some questions. It's incredible. We've gone into companies, whether that's being, people that are selling roofing services, or even people that are traders on a trading floor on Wall Street, and been able to predict who the top performing people are just by looking at these charts. It's wildly, wildly accurate. What you have to remember too is that when this is misaligned, it causes stress. I've been able to predict when people are about to leave the company too because of a misaligned graph. So let's look at the traits really quick. Again, when you look at this graph, you have who somebody is at their core, their human operating system, and then how they believe they are needed to be currently in this job. Okay, so you've got, everything is in relation to this red line. You've got, is this person autonomous, or do they like to work within a team and be given direction? Are they highly social, or are they more analytical? Are they fast-paced, or do they like to work methodically? Do they think detail-oriented first, or do they not really care about the details? What's their internal body battery, right? How long can they stay outside of their natural mode? Do they think with logic versus emotion? What's their level of ingenuity? Like, these are all, there is an unlimited amount of ways that this chart could go. But what's most important here for you to understand is think back to the idea that I used about the off-road trophy truck that goes in the Baja 1000 that's driving on a Formula One track, okay, a road course. That truck can get around that track, no problem. It can probably beat a lot of your standard cars around that track. But is it optimal? No. Its tires are going to wear down faster. It might be too much of a load on the suspension, right? It might not, it probably doesn't have the ideal driver in it. We want the Formula One car on the Formula One track. So the difference between these two graphs is basically the gap in performance of this person. So I know that this is a salesperson, just from, we pulled this from a past client. And from this chart, I easily can see that this person is feeling micromanaged, which is burning them out. They are also feeling like they're not being given enough detail to go and do their job properly. We see that from the green dot. They are also probably dealing with too many people. I can see that from the yellow and the purple dot, which is causing them stress. There's too much drama. It trains them. I want these graphs to look identical. I know that that person will stay with you forever. They will be an incredible salesperson. You'll be like, this is the best person I ever hired. I don't know why I don't do this in the first place. So this is the whole idea. We want to pick the specific person first. Who do I want? Dream it up. Then you go out, you have them take this. You get their traits and you see how it fits against what you actually wanted, what you know that job needs. And then you measure them over time. And if I start seeing these graphs change as I measure them, let's say quarterly or even monthly, then I know where I need to go in and I need to help them, or I need to modify their accountabilities. Now, another interesting thing is what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll survey your current team as well, so we can see what types of personas are the top performers, or who do I need to hire under somebody, right? So for example, you've got this person, the daredevil. This person moves fast, takes risks, likes to be out there, great outside salesperson. If I need to hire them a number 2, or somebody who's going to handle their accounts while they're out on the road, I'm not going to hire somebody just like them. This person has a detail trait that's so low that if I was the CEO getting reports from them, I wouldn't get the details that I need. So I would want to bring somebody under them that has a very high detail trait, that is very organizational. Maybe somebody over here, right? They're going to be able to support that person because they have traits that complement them. Again, this is all puzzle pieces. This is all like Tetris. This is the sniper approach to bringing on a sales team, to hiring people, okay, versus a shotgun. When I was in military special operations, having this misalignment literally cost people their lives. And it also costs the team performance. In your case, it's costing you a ton of money and time, and the system is simply not running like a well-oiled machine. So the easiest thing we do is we go in, we just survey the entire team, and we take a look and we understand, okay, where are the high performers? Where are their gaps? Who do we need to fill in? And then we pick those people, we design them with you, you go out, you survey them. Very easy to bring people in that are, and you, before you even have that interview, you know how that person thinks. I've done this where we've brought in, sometimes we brought in either sales leaders or COOs and things like that. And we've surveyed 85 people, but only 4 people fit the pattern. So I only interviewed 4 people. I basically knew who they were already. Now, that's because I have a ridiculously high level of confidence in this system. But even if it took you from 85 people to only needing to interview 15, that would be a massive win. And hopefully a lot less. If you want to do this audit inside of your business, whether you're a smaller business, making $1 million with a small sales team, or you're a massive business like our client doing $6 billion a year in chemical manufacturing, reach out to us. You've got a link below. You can book a call and we'll go through it there. Otherwise, I just hope you start to think this way. You start to think not just what is this person telling me, but how can I understand how they think? What is their natural operating system? Does this person and the way that they operate fit within my organization specifically? Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this is interesting. We're going to keep plugging away and would love to hear from you.